So, hello and welcome here to Watkins Glen rF2 Racing League. Today I'm lonely and alone. There's my stream going on. Yeah, no, it's away. And yeah, we're at Watkins Glen circuit, and you see there are not as many drivers as in the last rounds. Maybe because of the good weather that is, for example, here in Germany, it's far more than we're used to, and I'm sweating here. In my room, have darkened everything, and we're 7 minutes into the qualifying, and we're seeing Balázs Kiss back again on the first position. On the second, David Haas, then Juan Franruano, Linus Lundvall, Kostas Kansouras, Christo Niewood, Dirk Elsner, Oskar Köhnen, Christoph Müller and Marius van Wijk on the last position. Only 10 drivers participating in this race, but I think it will be an interesting race nonetheless. And we have Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen is... There are many hills and ups and downs, and we have 12 corners. And let's look at Balázs Kiss. Balázs Kiss just right now in the garage, but David Haas. Balázs Kiss is 1 second in front of David Haas here in the pole position, and you see by then David Haas, Juan Franruano and Linus Lundvall, they're all pretty close to each other, but Balázs Kiss, he's 1 second gap between them. And as I'm alone, I'm not that I'm not that into the motorsport that I can say like very interesting things right now, because I do not have that many knowledge about Watkins Glen. And yeah, I could say that Balázs Kiss is the leader in the drivers challenge because he won every race until now. Then David Haas had a pretty... He had a decent GT3 American Tour with places from 3 to 5, if I remember correctly. We have Juan Franruano, who just for now climbed to 3rd position. Linus Lundvall right in front of him on the 2nd, and Juan Franruano had bad luck in a few races and was set far behind, but he tried to get back to the front, and he had the greater good in mind, as I'm saying. So he fought for the places, and he just he got a few places back every time. And then we have Kostas Kansouras, who was in the mid of the field in like every race, peaked into the top 5, fell back, peaked back to the top 5. Very good driver. Then Christo Niewood, we saw him in the GT3 Winter Challenge. He was very good on the traditional European tracks. He held up with the best players and it was in the first places like every time. Dirk Elsner, also very talented driver, trying to do a pretty good season here. Oscar Koenen, who was in the GT3 Winter Challenge as well. Christoph Müller, a talented driver who just founded its own team, the Distro Cruiser Racing Team, in combination with another one called Müller. Or was it Christoph? Little pun intended. And Marius van Beek on the last place here. He had problems with his car and managing to get his car in control in last races. We had a few bad circumstances like rain or so, but he tried to hold up and he eventually got through the finish line. Here we see the McLaren of Dirk Elsner with this beautiful livery, the stylish and modern livery with the blue, black, and a few accents in black and silver. And here's Balázs Kiss with his nearly all green car that has won so many races in the rF2 Racing League. And Linus Lundvall in his blue livery. Juan Fronreino with his Storm Racing livery in this dark blue with a bit of greenish. David Haas in his great livery, red with white and black stripes on it. I like this livery pretty much. It's just an awesome car. Christo Niewood. I think he's driving a standard livery, but I'm not sure. No, he's not. I'm not sure about that. Kostas Kansouras, the other Storm Racing driver. The Storm Racing livery. And Oscar Koenen in the Haas GT Racing Team, the same livery as David Haas. And for now the qualifying is 1 minute left. And we're awaiting the race for now. There will be one flying lap and then will be the flying start on the on the Watkins Glen Raceway here in rF2 Racing League. I will be back in a minute when the race is starting. See you then. So, and we're back here at Watkins Glen. It's 2 minutes in the warm-up and there's 3 minutes left for warm-up, and I'm pretty thrilled for this race. There are only 10 drivers. It will be not as broad of a grid. And there we see Christo Niewood crashing into the wall right there on the back. But Watkins Glen is a pretty good track. It's a track that the drivers can manage and a track that is in great conditions for the race today. I'll say hi to the YouTube chat with Joris Shepard and Meredith Luna. Hello to you. And here we have Linus Lundvall. He will be second in the race, just behind Balázs Kiss. Behind him, Juan Franrano, David Haas, Christo Niewood, Kostas Kansouras, Dirk Elsner, Oskar Koenen, Christoph Müller, and Marius van Wijk. As I said, small grid, but it will be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Oh? Has qualifying happened? I thought we still had an hour. Oh! I am so sorry. Okay. I really thought we still had an hour to go. I thought we'd started at this time. I thought we started at like an hour's time every week. I am so sorry. That is so unprofessional of me. Okay. I've been really quite unprofessional with this league. You know,
Hello and welcome back here at Watkins Glen. I'm not alone anymore. I have Caitlin with me like last races. Caitlin Penny, you know him. And for now, he will be streaming with me, commentating with me. And I'm pretty thrilled that he got here. And I think it will be a great race.
Hello everyone. Indeed, I'm looking forward to it. Watkins Glen is one of my favourite tracks actually. It's a real classic and quite fitting as well since IMSA this weekend is doing the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen. Um, I don't really think I know many people who don't like Watkins Glen. Probably people who have had bad experiences with it. But yeah, no, this is a real classic track, and rF2 Racing League always produces some quite interesting racing. So that's going to be interesting. The first thing I notice is that again, Balach Kiss has taken pole position. So one step closer to continuing his mega win streak. And off we go for the formation lap.
And as I said, we have Balázs Kiss in the first place, Linus Lundvall in the second, Juan Franreno in the third, David Haas in the fourth, Christo Niebuhr behind him, Kostas Kansouras, Dirk Elsner, Oskar Köhnen, Christoph Müller in ninth, Matthias Weber should be in the last place, and Marius van Wijk is in the 10th, I think. Should be.
So Kiss, Lundvall, Franreno has Nivut, okay.
Yeah.
Kansouras, Elsner, Conan, Muller, Weber, and Van Eyck. Or Van Beek, sorry. I think that's the order. It's sometimes hard to tell on the formation lap since the cars do a little bit of swapping.
Yeah, Matthias Weber should be on the last place because he just joined in warm-up. So he should be ordered in the last place. And in the grid you can see Marius van Wijk staying a bit back, but he is indeed on the 10th place.
So you see, we're bypassing the bus stop chicane today. It's just going to be straight down to the outer loop at turn 5. That means, of course, that you're entering this pretty tricky, pretty long right-hander at pretty unabated speed. It's going to be quite something by the time you get here, and they added that chicane for a reason. It's for safety. So we'll see what happens today. Then, of course, you head out towards this left-hander, and this is known as the chute at the start of the section, known as the boot. Because, of course, if you look at a track map, it looks as if the track has a boot at the front. Kind of looks like a snowplow, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get that. I was not recognizing that, but as you said, it was coming clear, and I was seeing it too. I was asking me why it's called shoot.
It's also known as the short chute, that part of the circuit. It's because I suppose it's, I don't know, it's like a short downhill slope towards turn 6. But anyway, we've just been through turn 7, which is an uphill right-hander. Sometimes quite tough to keep the grip through there. There's a real groove on the inside of the circuit. This corner is known as the heel. This one has much more of a groove to it because of the slightly banked nature of the corner. It's also downhill. And then, of course, we head back up again, quite an undulating circuit, into the left at turn 9. This corner is tricky because the track tightens about there, and it seems to really go away from you. And of course, there is actually a slight change of surface there as well, meaning the car can sometimes struggle to find grip. Through the left-hander at turn 10, we've only got one corner to go, so they're going to start bunching up now and getting ready for the start of this 29-minute race. Through the final corner, 2x2, Balázs Kiss on the left, Linus Lundvall on his right. And that's how we're going to see them as they cross the start-finish line. And they drop the anchor now. Go, 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 go! Kish and Lundvall are going to be side by side down to turn 1. Fran Bueno and Haas behind them, and Fran Bueno's got a much better jump than David Haas. Although Kiss, as usual, leads down into turn 1. followed by Lundvall there. From Renault looked if he may have something to do with it, but couldn't quite get his nose in there. Up through the S's, this is a dangerous place to go too wide, although it is happening in the background. You do have side-by-side cars near the back, and that there is Christoph Müller side-by-side with Matthias Weber, and that's over 8th position, although also up in front we have, oh my word, a green Audi, and that will be Nivit going around the outside of Kostas Kantzoris and getting slightly over the curb. Did a good job to get it hooked in, actually. Sometimes if you touch the grass there, the car can just get sucked off, and that's a dangerous place to go off because there's a barrier right by the side of the circuit, and it's a pretty fast corner as well. Most of these corners pretty fast. It's just track followed by Armco, and the undulations allow for a unique challenge. Matthias Weber, meanwhile, has got past Dirk Elsner for 7th position, and made that stick on the opening lap of the race. Kostas Kantzoris up ahead looks as if he may be about to counter-attack. We see there how Weber did it. Oh, and it looks as if Christoph Müller had a slight look at Dirk Elsner in the meantime, and he's now got. Okay, Linus Lundvall's dropping. So
Yeah, let's look
yeah,
that
we've had a problem.
up.
For Linus Lundvall, who's come into the pit lane, and that, I expect, will be for a jump start penalty. No, that can't be the case, because...
Yes, he went into the pit and he was 22nd in the pit.
Well, that's weird. I wonder whether he went too soon at the start of the formation lap and the game gifted him a stop-go. Oh, that's a big mistake from Linus Lundvall there. Very, very unfortunate. Not entirely sure what happened, but I think that's my best guess at this point in time. Oh, it's off in the background there. Very nearly went a McLaren, and I think that would have been Dirk Elsner getting very heavily over the curbs. And side by side, and that is Matthias Weber alongside, is that Kostas Kantzoris? It
yes,
is.
it's Kostas.
So that's for 5th position, and Weber comes out on top for the meantime. The McLarens of Weber and Elsner splitting the Porsche, or on either side of the Porsche rather. And now Weber can start attacking Nierwood. What
Here
have you
we
seen?
saw Christoph Müller.
Oh no. Okay, so Müller started losing a few positions as well, and that's because of a spin! Oh, and he got collected! And that was... Is that Marius van... No, is it Oscar Conan?
It was Oscar Conan who banged in there.
Okay. Yeah, as I said before, sometimes the car just fails to grip there and you overcompensate by steering in too tightly. Meanwhile, you have Christian Nierwood making a mistake and spinning into the wall. So Nierwood, who is new to the championship this weekend, has made a big error there. Dropped to 7th position. That's a bit of a shame. And now you have David Haas and Matthias Weber going at it for 3rd position. Weber around the outside gets, wow, sweeps around him, makes the corner stick and has the inside for the shoot.
And what is he doing? He was on 11th position and now is in 3rd. He's...
You're absolutely right. What a drive this has been so far from Matthias Weber. I'm not sure whether he had some kind of incident or delay in qualifying. But whatever the case, that is quite something there for Matthias Weber.
He's running through the grid like with a butter knife through butter. This is... I'm astonished. I see his name in our TV tool like every 10 seconds and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gone one up.
Yeah. Now, I should correct myself. Christo Maris van Vleck has a big spin into the grass. Neervoet, sorry, did make the first round at Daytona, so it wasn't entirely true that it was his first round, although he hasn't done that much at all. Oh, and he also made the second round as well, so I was really wrong. My
Yeah,
apologies.
he was in the Winter Challenge as well, and he was pretty good in that. Um, I think he was never on, never under fourth place, I think. And that he was really delivering in the Winter Challenge, but I think he has got problems on the American drive or raceways. But it could also be the how do you say, enemies, opponents, the opponents that have gotten stronger in the American tour, with a Balazs Kiss winning every race in his Simcoe McLaren.
Meanwhile, Balazs Kiss does continue to lead this race, as you say, and of course, he is as yet undefeated. Won both rounds, or won both races at round 1. Won the only race we had at round 2. He won both races at round 3, and he won both races at round 4. Already extending his lead in this race. And actually, his teammate Tamas Tse is not here today, and of course, he is second in the championship. So that means Balazs Kiss, I think, will wrap up the championship today, most likely. Christian Michael is third in the championship. He is also not here today, meaning that his closest competitor is actually Linus Lundvall, who's a whole 100 points back, and therefore is already out of technical championship contention. But yeah, in terms of the championship, I think it's pretty much wrapped up already theoretically. Of course, his opponents need to get within 50 points of him before the final round, which means we're going to need Tamas Say or Christian Michiel to turn up for race 2 and for Balazs Kiss to do something weird in race 1. And providing he finishes this race, I think that we can very much gift Balazs Kiss the overall Drivers' Championship of the league.
Yes, and we have now Christoph Muller has a did not finish after his crash. He doesn't seem to have got his car driving again, and didn't see any chances on doing a good race anymore. And yeah, as you said, Balazs Kiss is nearly undefeatable. We have only 11 drivers instead of the 20 drivers we have else on the other rounds. I think today is a pretty. Is it that good weather in Great Britain as well?
It is boiling hot. We've
Yeah.
actually got the edge of a heat wave from France. And yeah, no, I was really struggling to sleep last night because I was getting heat prickles and it was awful.
Yeah, me
But
too.
whatever the case. Balazs Kiss continues to lead from Juan Fran Rueno after the first 9 minutes of this race. Matthias Weber is third, followed by David Haas, Kostas Kantzuras, Dirk Elsner, Linus Lundvall, Christo Neervoet. Whoa, big crash there for Christoph Müller, and that's why he retired from the race just a few minutes ago. And that was right at the top of the S's, which is always a dangerous place to make a mistake. Meanwhile, here's Linus Lundvall getting back past Christo Neervoet on his recovery drive. Nicely done from Linus. Neervoet is in 8th place, Marius van Veek is in 9th place, and Oscar Konen rounds out the drivers still running in this race in 10th position.
Oh,
Christo.
Christo Neervoet losing control of his car in the corner right there, and settling
just had a
for
bit of a snap. Yeah, just had a bit of a snap, and then momentum carried him around. Looks as if he went too tight into the corner, and I'm not sure if he clipped the curb or anything. But yeah, the car just snapped around and off it went. And yeah, there was no gathering it up at that point, but he's just lucky that he kept it out of the barrier. Yeah, it didn't quite touch the wall. That's something. But whatever the case, returns to this race in 8th position. He's going to be slightly disappointed since we saw full well that he was capable of far more in this race. Here we're watching Kostas Kantzaris ahead of Dirk Elsner. They're relatively close at this point in time, and getting slightly closer as well, if I'm not very much mistaken. And that's over 5th and 6th positions. Just to let you know quickly, Lucas, I don't see the stream again. I don't know if you know, but
Yeah, but I have a link for you. Stream is up and running.
okay, that's good.
And yeah, Christoph Muller says in the YouTube chat that his car is completely wrecked.
Yeah, that's a big shame there. Sorry to hear it. Hello to everyone else joining us in the YouTube chat, including Joris Sheepvat, saying hi there. Hello to you, Joris. And also to Meredith Luna, saying vamos, indeed, vamos, vamos. And welcome into the stream. If you are watching and you're enjoying it, make sure you leave us a comment. And even if you're not, just it'd be nice to hear from you. A little spin there for Marius van Wyk a few seconds ago at turn 1. He approached the corner in the middle of the road, and that doesn't really tend to work. The car had a bit of a wobble, and around it went. Definitely looked as if he was off his line, and I think that may have panicked him slightly, but whatever the case, gets going again. He is still running in 9th position in this race so far. Apparently Christoph had a separate incident that we didn't see where he flipped over. That's, ouch. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that you had such a dodgy race, and I wish you the best of luck for race 2. Coming up, of course, when this race finishes. Up through the S's, David Haas chasing down Matthias Weber. And as you pointed out before, Weber has been doing an incredible job from pretty much the back of the grid up into 3rd position. Just kept it clean, but he has shown us that he has the pace of the top guys. He's really sticking with Juan Ferrando, who's only a couple of car lengths up the road. Definitely a good performance so far from Matthias Weber, although David Haas will want to assert his authority as quickly as he possibly can.
And here we see the steep hills of Watkins Glen and the height differences that they have to encounter, and that you can sometimes not see the corners very well because they are just coming up from over the hilltop or down in the valley.
That's what I like to see in a circuit, actually. One that reflects the topography of the terrain. It gives it an extra dimension, quite literally, when a track has undulations and Murray Walker once famously said the track is great because it has inclines and declines, not just up but down as well. But yeah, no, it a fantastic challenge for the drivers. The car reacts very differently when you're going uphill to when you're going downhill, or when you're, of course, on a completely flat surface. And I always find that when you're going uphill or downhill and you touch a curb, that's when you really notice the difference massively. Because when you touch a curb going uphill, I mean, it depends how you do it. The car tends to kind of bounce and then grip a bit more. When you touch a curb going downhill, the car just spins. So you really have to be careful about that, especially through corners such as that one, turn 5, the one that we just saw at Linus Lundvall going through. Of course, I'm mainly talking about fast downhill corners. And of course, you don't want to get on the grass as well, because that's just going to spin you just the same.
Yeah, this power, the cars are spinning on everything that's not tarmac.
Of course.
Because the curbs are too uneven to give you grip, and the grass has no grip. This is grass. It's not that solid.
Oh, Dirk Elsner and Kostas Kantzoris getting very close over fifth position there. Kantzoris making a couple of mistakes on that lap, and Elsner definitely closing in. In terms of the teams championship today, Simco McLaren have come in on maximum, well, not maximum points, but they've come in far ahead of anyone else in the championship. I'm pretty sure they've already mathematically sealed the teams championship. MC Racing are also doing pretty well in the championship. They are second, however, they're not here today, which is a big shame because, of course, their drivers were major factors near the start of the league, and yeah, it's a huge shame actually not to see them here today. Seawolf Racing, Aston R8, Audi R8, sorry, are at third place in the championship, and then you have the Storm Racing Porsche fourth, and Cold Fox Racing Division Aston Martin Vantage in fifth position. So that's how the driver standings, sorry, the team standings stack up. But yeah, this season very much has been all about Simco McLarens.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, a different McLaren, the slightly older spec McLaren of Dirk Elsner, is still all over the back of Kostas Kantzoras. And this tends to be a place where you can get a decent slipstream down the back straight towards the heel of the boot.
And on the horizon, you can see Linus Lundvall creeping on and coming. And I don't think he will come in range, but he's getting closer, and he's trying to do at least one place on the scoreboard more. And yeah, Dirk Elsner here, just behind Kostas Kantsuras. He's not leaving him any space, and just creeping up behind him.
And the gap at the end of that lap is, I don't know because it didn't show me. Oh, enough in front, and that, I think, okay, that's confused me. That would have been Matthias Weber.
Yes.
Did he get past it? Oh, yeah, he was
David
ahead
Haas.
of David Haas.
Yeah.
Very nearly ran into the back of Juan Fran Rueno. Had to take avoiding action and run wide.
We
And
can
now
look
lost
into
third
that
position.
once more. Right here, he's
I see.
going
Yeah,
wide.
it looks as if he just had to take avoiding action to miss the back end of Juan Fran Rueno, and through into third place went Matthias Weber. So that sorry, David Haas. So that's an unfortunate mistake from Matthias Weber. A little bit of a clumsy one, but I'm sure he'll know that, and he'll just have to get his head right back in the game and attack again. Talking of attacking, Dirk Elsner still attacking Kostas Kantzoras as he was last lap. Back in the slipstream, although we saw that he wasn't quite able to get the run a lap ago, Porsches tend to be a little bit more slippery through the air than McLarens. So they do tend to have a very slight straight line advantage. However, through corners like that, you can see just how close Dirk Elsner can get to the back of Kostas Kantzoras' car. Final corner, Elsner needs to make sure that he sets himself up here. Gets a good exit to the corner and charges towards turn 1. Not going to be close enough. He really needs a much better slingshot, a much better slipstream than that. And he ideally needs Kostas Kantzoras to make a mistake, and quite a costly one.
And everyone's going wide on that corner. Why is it that? Is it because the street is so narrow on this portion of the track?
Do you mean turn 1?
Yeah, they're all going wide over the curb and a bit onto the tarmac left of the track.
I'll tell you in a second, because Elsner's up the inside, and he's finally going to make it stick, is he? I don't know, because you can sweep around the outside of that corner sometimes. And Kantoris gets hung out to dry. Dirk Elsner through into 5th position. The reason everyone's going wide through turn 1, of course, is because of the momentum you gain by doing so. Of course, if you run wider into a corner, it means that you're able to carry slightly more speed. You'll notice that they tend to clip the apex and then run over the curb on the exit, and it's quite a flat curve. So it doesn't tend to affect the cars that much, and therefore they're going to be taking as much curb and as much front-off area as they can get away with.
So you do not get punished for taking that curb, or to get a bit off the curb as well.
You can do. It can unsettle the car, especially when it's wet, of course. But of course, in the dry and taking that sort of line, no, you really don't get punished by the curb at all. In fact, it is beneficial to take some curb. Of course, technically within the regulations, you're not allowed to put 4 wheels over the white line. But during a race, let's face it, everyone does it. Unfortunately. And you see those guys being relatively nicely well behaved this time through. In fact, I think all 3 of them kept 2 wheels on the right side of the white line, which is good to see. And to be honest, that is the ideal line through the corner, and that was a good show of driving.
And here we see Linus Lundvall on his race and on his fetch up to Kostas Kansouras, now in the 6th position, and he's going closer and closer. I said he will not get there, but I think he will get there, and he will try to overtake Kostas Kansouras.
Well, he's got 7 minutes to go in this race, but at the rate he's gaining, that's quite something. And he may well have something to say about Kostas Kansouras' position. However, he's run slightly wide there, not got the best line through the toe. And into the toe, of course, that being the toe of the slipstream. However, Linus Lundvall, what an amazing recovery drive he's put in so far. And you've seen just how quickly he's been taking chunks of time out of Kansouras there.
Yeah.
And you're right to say that he may well have a look. However, we've only got 6 minutes and change left on the clock. And at this point in the race, it's still Kiss leading from Fran Moreno, Haas, Weber, Elsner, Kansouras, Lundvall, Nieuwhout, Van Veek, and Konen. 10 drivers remaining. Of course, we've only lost 1 so far, and that's Christoph Müller, who says that drivers can be punished if they do it on purpose, meaning the track limits infringements. Indeed, if they do it too many times or gain too much from it, then indeed they can. Although I'm not expecting that to happen today. Down the back straight again goes Linus Lundvall in the slippery Audi. And gets the car hooked in for the corner. That's a... well, it started off looking... Oh, and that's David Haas. So David Haas, from 3rd place, has had a spin. He was side by side with Matthias Weber, and they made contact. And he got forced off and into the barrier, and that's a hard hit. He's probably going to have picked up suspension damage from that. But yeah, David Haas being forced into the barrier, and that is a big hit there. Through goes Weber, through goes Elsner, through goes Kansouras, through goes Lundvall. And, well, we'll have to see how much damage Haas has, if you get what I'm saying. And whether he can keep his car running on the road in that 7th position. But here's Lundvall now right on the back of Kansouras. He was getting closer a lap ago, now he's right with him. And I can't imagine that we're not going to see a move or an overtaking opportunity in the next lap.
Yeah, and we see David Haas is pretty slow on the track. There will be damage in his car. He's now going into the pit and trying to repair his car. And there we saw a little mistake of Kostas Kansouras slowing him down a bit. And Here we have it, Linus Lundvall right behind Kostas Kantouris, just as Dirk Elsner was right behind Kostas Kantouris. And now it's on to an opportunity where Linus Lundvall can go side by side and just make it stick. And can he make this stick?
Around the outside of turn 5, that's nicely done. And I tell you what, Kostas Kantouris would not have expected that. Tries to keep his nose in, but you really can't do it around turn 6. So a great move there from Linus Lundvall. Also, Neervoet has just got past David Haas, so I'm wondering. I expect Haas probably has more heavy damage than we expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever the case, brilliant move from Linus Lundvall. And he's now going to set about chasing down Dirk Elsner. However, he's only got 3 minutes to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he needs a mistake from Elsner, or someone else for that matter, if he's going to make it stick. And also, Oscar Konen has got past Marius van Beek, and that is because Van Beek had a little spin there in the Porsche, unfortunately dropping him right to the back of the order there, as he crosses the start-finish line for another time. He's just been lapped by Dirk Elsner in the 4th place McLaren. As in the pits there is David Haas, so Haas goes right to the back. And I told you he had heavy damage. David Haas dropping and dropping, and his race started off looking really, really promising, and it's just gone to pot.
And I think this will get a punishment because I think Matthias Weber was not... He was involved in that crash. And I don't know, we can look into it just one more time here.
So side by side, it looks to me as if, well, I don't know if I really want to judge that since I am not a race steward in this league. It looks to me it was just side-to-side contact, and I will say in Weber's defense, he was keeping it to the curb. I don't really see what more he could have done there, to be honest. So I don't think that is Weber's fault. Although of course I haven't seen his onboards. I don't know what his steering input was doing, so I can't really comment 100%. And it's just a shame that David Haas ended up being affected so badly by it.
And now, after 2.5 minutes, he's back on the track and racing the last minute of the race. He will be pretty disappointed by this, but I think there's another race, and he will get better results if he can do it.
Props him for continuing in the race. A lot of people would have rage quit and just not gone back out again. But of course, everyone who finishes this race will score points, and you don't score points if you DNF. So whatever the case, David Haas doing well to continue in this race, and of course may well score more. What's happened? Weber! Matthias Weber is in the wall. Matthias Weber. He's in the barrier, and something really dramatic has happened to him. And I'll tell you what it was. It was him just losing it at the top of the S's. Spinning it round, going into the wall. The car is, I think, flipped over there, although it's tough to tell because of the lag. And he has ended up dropping well down the order. And that's a big, big shame for the driver who was one of the biggest movers at the start of this race. Coming from near the back of the grid, all the way through to 3rd position, was challenging for 2nd, and off he went, and he's probably going to have some really quite severe suspension damage as well. Meanwhile, the race timer has ticked to 0. Not sure if Balachkis is about to cross the line or if he has.
Yes, he has just crossed the line.
So Balachkis wins again. Fantastic performance for the Simco McLaren driver. Again, and how many times have I said that? Fran Bueno crosses the line to finish 2nd place. Dirk Elsner and Linus Lundvall are actually fighting over third position, and who would have thought after the first lap that Lundvall would recover to this place? But whatever the case, Elsner is third, Lundvall is fourth, one more lap, and Lundvall could have attacked Elsner. Matthias Weber is going to claim fifth position despite his final lap incident, and that's a big shame for him. He's going to be gutted.
Yeah.
However, still race 2 coming up, of course. He still has another opportunity. Kostas Kantzuras in the Porsche. Oh, going slightly wide on his final lap, although he is going to keep it running and finish in sixth position. Well, I say he is going to. I'm not sure. Getting over the grass there and actually going off through the penultimate corner. Come on, Kostas. I, he's heavily damaged,
You can
surely.
do it.
Yeah, he's got damage. Whatever the
Yeah,
case.
his car is wiggling left and right all the time. You've seen it in the steering?
The heavily damaged Kostas Kantzuras crosses the line and finishes sixth, just ahead of the battling duo of Christo Nieuvut and Oscar Conan. They were 7th and 8th. Marius van Wyk will be 9th position. He has already finished the lap down, and I believe, actually, I think that was Nieuvut and Haas that crossed the line together, not Nieuvut and Conan.
Yeah.
David Haas was a lap down, and he finished in 10th position.
And I think Kostas Kantzuras had damage on his steering because his car was pulling to the right. And he had no opportunity to do it, to get it back to function. And he had to accommodate to this. And this heavy damage just pulled him off. And so now we can recap. It's Balázs Kiss, Juan Franruano, Dirk Elsner, Linus Lundvall, Matthias Weber, Kostas Kantzuras, Christo Niewood, Oscar Koenen, Marius van Wyk, David Haas, and the last one who did not finish, Christoph Müller, who had this spin out and was flipping in the first 10 minutes of the race. Pretty unhappy, but that happens, and in the next race he will be better, I'm hoping, and we'll be back shortly. Hold tight, we're going to get back to you when it's race 2. And we're back here at Watkins Glen. It's 2 minutes in the warm-up and we're excited for a pretty good race too.
Indeed, we are. Balaj Kiss, of course, going for yet another victory, starting from pole position. Can anyone break his win streak, or will he be able to take every single race of the season? Of course, he's already claimed the drivers' championship. He did that just by finishing race 1. That has been absolutely 100% done and dusted, wrapped up. So I can now proclaim Balach Kiss, unofficially, of course, our brand new rF2-RacingLeague.com champion. Congrats to Balach Kiss and the Simcoe McLaren team, and I hope they celebrate well and enjoy their championship. But Kiss will probably not be satisfied with that. He will absolutely want to get a 100% record. He will want to win absolutely everything. I know how the mind of a driver works,
Yeah.
and
How you say in Great Britain? It's a queen sweep?
a clean sweep, not a queen sweep.
Oh, okay. But
It's
why not a
okay.
queen sweep?
I mean, I suppose that does fit the British theme. Oh golly. A queen sweep. I like that. No, whatever the case. You can also say a clean sheet, which is another similar term,
Oh, okay.
and that's usually used in football to mean a goalkeeper who's never let a goal in, or
Oh.
in a specific game. Um,
Yeah, we have
so you
this in
have two
German
quite
as
similar
well,
phrases.
but in German you say, like translated, a white west.
Oh,
So,
a white vest. Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Now the warm-up is ended, so we'll see the race just in a few minutes from now. Costas Kansouris, the only driver that is still racing. Oh, but Juan Franco Ruano is also getting out of the pit again.
Exiting the pits after the red light. You're not technically allowed to do that, but I don't see the harm, seeing as we're about to switch the session anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you knew that the session had come to a finish, actually, come to a close. Whatever the case, we go into the race session, and I should run you through the grid order before they all start moving and messing it up. It's Balach Kiss on pole again, followed by Linus Lundvall, Juan Fran Moreno, David Haas, Christo Neervliet, Kostas Kansaras, Dirk Elsner, Oscar Konen, Christoph Müller, Marius van Beek, and Matthias Weber right from the back. So that's how they line up. For the second time, of course, that is also how they lined up in race 1. And we'll see if we'll see what they can do with this second race. Of course, we never see the same order 2 races in a row, and of course we will have a different race story this time. Away at the start of the formation lap goes Balaj Kiss. We're expecting this formation lap to take roughly 3 or 4 minutes.
And we had quite a late start of Marius van Wijk, who we have seen there on the horizon, not getting to start his car, but now has gotten back to the formation here.
So up the hill through the S's. This is where Matthias Weber and Christoph Müller had their accidents in race 1, and also a real accident black spot in reality as well. I remember I once had an accident here in a GT3 race because someone tried to bump draft me as we were going through the second of the 2 S's over the curb, and yeah, that did not go well.
He did what
And
to you?
tried to bump draft me, so basically tried to give me a push.
Ah.
And you don't give someone a push through that part of the course. And yeah, I ended up in the barrier and was absolutely furious at the other guy. Luckily, that other guy's not in this race. Whatever the case, yeah, that was unfortunate. Sometimes, of course, when you run the circuit, you have that chicane on the right. That is the bus stop. However, we're not running the bus stop chicane today. We are bypassing it entirely and going straight to turn 5, the outer loop. And to be honest, probably for the better, because the bus stop has notoriously high curbs, and it's notoriously tricky to get right. Often tends to unsettle the cars and send them off towards the wall. Although then again, so does turn 5. There's a difficult curb on the outside there because sometimes that can suck you off into the grass or into that awkwardly placed barrier on the outside. Left-hander, turn 6, just at the end of the chute. And then down towards turn 7 again, the toe of the boot. Or, as I want to call it now, the prong of the snowplow. But anyway. You'll notice how the elevation rises quite drastically through there as well. And that means that the cars have a lot of grip. They can carry a lot of speed through there. However, it also means that there is very much just one groove. You can only really take one line through the corner. And if you go wide, suddenly all of that grip goes away from you. And yeah, that's really not an ideal situation. You do tend to lose quite a lot of pace if you do that.
Yeah, I remember that there's some corners like that on the Nürburgring Nordschleife.
Absolutely, there are. Yeah, this track in many ways actually is reminiscent of the Nürburgring. It's like a shorter version, and definitely some of these corners are very Nürburgring-esque, especially the one that I was talking about before, turn 7. Whatever the case, we're heading now towards the end of the circuit, the final sector. We're getting in 2x2 Noah's Ark formation as they prepare to drop the anchor and go flying into turn 1. Once again, it's going to be Balázs Kiss on his left-hand side. It's going to be Linus Lundvall on his right. And behind them, it's going to be Juan Fran Rueno on his left. And David Haas on his right.
Let's
and here we
hope
go now.
that there's no penalty for Linus Lundvall this time as well. So
yeah, let's hope no one's picked up a penalty. But
yeah.
Whatever the case, we cross the start-finish line and the race is go. And Balázs Kiss once again leads down into turn 1. No significant changes right near the front of the field. I think the closest positions I can see that are changing are, Kanzuras had a little look at Neervoet but had to back out of it. Now we head up through the S's again. And this is where Lundvall can start to set up Kiss. And needs to do it sooner or rather or later because we've seen that Kiss is probably going to start pulling away. Here comes Linus Lundvall, and he is making an attack. He goes to the outside of Balázs Kiss towards turn 5, sweeps around. We've seen this working in race 1, but he's going wide, he's going off. Linus Lundvall is off, and he's dropping back. He's going to come under attack now from Juan Fran who goes through into 2nd position. And Lundvall attempted to make one move, ended up losing another place. And that's a mistake for Linus Lundvall. Juan Fran now up into 2nd position. And what can he do about Balázs Kiss on this opening lap of the race? Needs to get a move on and go after him sooner rather than later.
But
down the back straight we head. Sorry?
As far as I remember, this was the first attack on Balázs Kiss in the whole season.
I think there have been cars that have got close. Christian Michal got pretty close at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it was the first attack on Balázs Kiss. Coming close, yes, Christian Michal was pretty close, but this is the first attack on Balázs Kiss in the whole season.
Really says something about Balázs Kiss' performance. He has been in a league of his own. Whatever the case, didn't quite work out from Linus. He made the mistake, he went off on the outside. And he's dropped back to 3rd position in all of that. And at the end of the first lap, it's Kiss leading from Renault, Lundvall, Haas and Neervoet. Up through the S's, they head again. Here comes another slipstreaming opportunity. To be honest, I think it's more likely that Lundvall will attempt to move on Renault, but look at that, there's a mistake. Christoph Müller has come together with Oscar Konen. So Müller and Konen have made contact. And it looks as if Müller just misjudged Oscar Konen's braking zone, went into the back of him. And they were lucky as well not to take out Matthias Weber. Weber did get touched in all of that. And also taking avoiding action was Marius van Beek. Meanwhile, Linus Lundvall had another attack, tried to go around the outside of Juan Fran Bueno, much like he did on Kiss on the opening lap of the race. And once again, it doesn't quite work out, although he didn't lose as much time as he did the first time he tried it. And needs to get back in his toe and set himself up for another overtaking opportunity. Just needs to keep with him in the corners and see if he can maximize the slipstream in a straight line. Here we go through the final couple of corners of the lap. And for Juan Fran Bueno not getting the best of runs out of the penultimate corner, and Lundvall getting a mega drive out of out of that corner. However, compromised slightly through the final turn, and especially on the exit. And Fran Bueno stays ahead for now. Up through the S's once again. It's always tricky to stick with your opponent through here, of course, because the turbulent air of the car in front is unsettling your car and making it harder to turn in. You need more turning power to actually make the car stick. But here comes Lundvall. Regardless, he's gone up the inside this time, and that was late braking, but he's made it stick. And that was very nicely done. Definitely his best attempt so far. And that's obviously his best attempt so far, since he's actually made it stick this time. Now, can Linus Lundvall set about chasing after Balázs Kiss? We've seen that he's had the pace in race 1. But yeah, can he start chasing after Balázs Kiss? Or can he only hope to accelerate away from Juan Fran Bueno behind? Anyway, here watching Christo Neervoet in a car that reminds me very much of the Orange 1 Team Lazarus car in real life. No, I was thinking of the wrong car. I'm actually thinking of GRT Team Lazarus, which looks really quite similar to that actually, and runs in the ADAC GT Masters. But whatever the case, this is of course an Audi rather than a Lamborghini, driven by Christo Neervoet. And he is going after David Haas in these opening stages of the race. Also, I should point out that Marius van Wyk has just dropped right to the back, so I think there may have been a slight mistake for him. In fact, there was. He bounced off the tyre wall through the final corner. Not through the final corner, sorry, through, well, in the final sector. That, of course, the corner, that's turn 9 that he did it at.
And he's now in the pit. So I think there was some damage done to the car.
Yeah, definitely seems that way. That's unfortunate for Van Wyk. Although, of course, as I said before, everyone who finishes in this race scores points, so it's worth continuing and just picking something up. So onto the back straight again, head. The cars that we're watching on screen, David Haas in the chaotically liveried Porsche, chasing down the slightly less chaotically liveried Porsche of Juan Fran Bueno. Nice dark navy blue colour on that Juan Fran Bueno car.
Yeah, the dark blue with the Storm Racing logo on it, and I think the O is like a bullet hole in the car.
Ooh, that's nice.
So let's look into that.
That's a nice idea. I like it when teams get creative with their deliveries like that. Van Wyk, meanwhile, is still in the pit, so definitely some severe issues going on with his car there. He must have had heavy damage after his nudge into the barrier.
And here we see the gap to Balázs Kiss, who's now setting off the grid and getting far off, where I think Linus Lundvall cannot reach him anymore. I think the only way to get in front of Balazs is to get him in the early stage of the race and then just slowing him down and trying to get him to stay behind one.
So,
And I'm now curious, I think it's not a bullet hole in the livery. It may be like a loudspeaker or a tire.
we need to get a closer look. Yeah, we're only getting the TV cameras here, and to be honest, the dark livery going through shadows like this, it's not easy to see. Oh, here we go. Yeah, if you can somehow swing the camera around, we can take a decent look at it.
Here we see it. It's a tire.
Ah, nice. That's very nice there. Jolly good. Yeah, I like that. Very creative. Quite a simple livery, but sometimes simple is better. And actually, I raced a car liveried kind of like that once. But whatever the case. Across the start-finish line for another lap.
Oh, and
no, everything's fine. It looked to me as if Linval had disappeared as well,
yeah.
but no, everything's fine. He's still here. Whatever the case, Balazs is extending his lead as we expected and feared might happen. Linus Lundvall is well, he is slightly pulling away from Juan Fernueno. He is not catching Balazs. He's just gradually becoming more and more lonely on track by himself. As behind him, Moreno and Haas are together, fighting over that third position.
And we see the gap behind to Christo Niewood has been widened a bit. Not as much, but he has fallen back a substantial amount of time.
Oh, and here we see Kostas Kantouras taking a look to the inside of Dirk Elsner. It looks to me as if Elsner got a worse run out of that corner and Kantouras went for a switchback. However, by the end of the straight, Elsner was running by far and away fast enough to avoid being passed by Kantouras. And still maintains that sixth position. Of course, it's only going to take one mistake from Elsner, one significant mistake, that is, a dip of a wheel into the grass or something, to allow Kostas Kantouras right back onto his tail again, so he can attempt another overtake. And the same could be said, of course, for the Porsches near the front of the field. We're also watching Oscar Konen, who's dropped back a little bit in this race. He is just behind, that's Christoph Müller, who was involved in the incident with Oscar Konen on the first lap of the race, just misjudging his braking zone and going into the back of him.
Yeah, he was overtaken by Christoph Müller here.
Yeah, it seems that Müller got him back again. So Müller up into 9th position in this race so far. And Oscar Konen dropping back to 10th place. I'd say dead last, although Marius van Dijk's still in the pits. I'm not sure if we're going to see him back out again. Probably not at this rate. Oh, and a bit of a mistake there for Christo Nievoet. Oh, that's a big hit, and Nievoet has lost his rear wing. So that's a proper crash there for Christo Nievoet, getting it very crossed up mid-corner. And then once he touched the grass on the inside, there was no holding it, and the car just snapped around to the right-hand side. And so, off it went, into the wall hard, and he is going to have to make a pit stop. In fact, he's DNF'd. So that's a big shame there for Christo Nievoet. Race over for him. And if I'm not very much mistaken, Marius van Dijk is back on the road.
Yes, Marius van Dijk is back on the road. He is, since I will look that up.
So providing Van Dijk can get past where Christo got to, he is going to be elevated into 10th position in the race. Meanwhile, with almost half of the race done, Balazs continues to lead from Lundvall, from Moreno, Haas, Elsner, Kantouras, Weber, Müller, Still technically Neervoet in 10th position, followed by
He's-
Van Beek, although that is probably about to change. Meanwhile, here comes David Haas, going for that final podium place to the outside. Attempts to sweep around the outside, although Fran Bueno wise to it and fends him off in the braking zone.
And yes, Marius van Wijk was 62 seconds in the pit, and he just left it 4 minutes ago.
And David Haas is still challenging Juan Fran Bueno. He's been getting closer for the last couple of laps, and this was his first proper overtaking opportunity. However, it was covered off by Fran Bueno being enough alongside him to keep the place. They often say that the hardest car to pass is your own car, as in your own type of car, and that of course is because when you have two cars almost identical, of course disregarding setup, it means that in general you're going to be strong in the same places as your opponent, and you're going to be weak in the same places as your opponent. So actually making an overtake is really quite tricky sometimes, especially when you have the same make of car as the driver ahead of you. Not that overtaking is ever easy.
I think in this seasons the setups will be pretty similar too, or is this, or does that differ in sim racing a lot?
So in terms of GT3, they're not entirely setup dependent. Like a hold on a second, because we've had a mistake from Bueno there running wide and almost losing out to Haas, but we're also seeing Weber side by side with Kanzouras getting up the inside and making that one stick. So nicely done from Matthias Weber. There we go.
Yeah, we've seen that scene from Linus Lundvall earlier. It was
Indeed, it was almost a carbon copy of the move,
yeah.
and once again they've made it stick. So in terms of setups, GT3s aren't entirely dependent on setups, like for example a prototype or a single seater. However, it definitely does make a difference, and I remember doing a GT3 league a while ago where my car was a couple of seconds per lap off the pace because you had some real setup wizards at the front. And well, I'd like to say it was up setup anyway. I hope I'm not that slow. I'm certainly not in other leagues, but whatever the case, I'm just gonna blame the car. Whatever the case, here comes David Haas again on the back of Juan Fran Bueno.
And I have seen Marius van Wijk in the pit.
Again?
Yes, he went to
no.
the pit.
And he hasn't managed to get past Christo Neervoet, so Marius van Wijk not managing to gain advantage from that.
He stands just there and doesn't carry on racing.
Meanwhile, David Haas has sealed the deal. There he goes, up the inside of turn 5, and indeed he has made it stick. Here's how he did it. We're watching a replay now. He got his car on the right-hand side and knew he had to do that early because that meant Fran Bueno couldn't cover him off by the time they got to the corner. And David Haas gets it turned in and keeps the position up into 3rd position. Of course, he was running in 3rd in race 1 and then made a little mistake towards the end of the race.
And here we see Linus Lundvall. He can peak sometimes. He can peak on the rear side of Balázs Kiss in the far off. You can see the rear side going through the corners in front of him, and I don't think he can hold up to Balázs Kiss in this green Simco McLaren, just stomping everyone.
As usual, I'm afraid, with all due respect to his opponents, who, well, we do have some really quite competitive drivers in this field. I'm afraid Balach Kiss has been in a league of his own, very much so. And really, it's all been about who can be best of the rest. Talking of best of the rest, in fact, I think Linus Lundvall has a good opportunity, a good chance of taking second in the championship today, due to neither of the drivers ahead of him being able to make this race. Tamas Sey and Christian Michael, neither of them are here. Lindvall just needs to score 26 points to make that happen. He finished fourth in race one. Pick a number. There we go. And fourth place is worth, how many points is fourth place worth? Is it worth 16? I think. Yeah, 16 points. So he still needs to claim 10 points. And he's well on his way to doing so now. But yeah, Balazs Kiss absolutely stonking away, and we've seen this at every single race so far this season. Next race, of course, isn't really looking that much more promising, unfortunately, because that's at Daytona. Again, although it's a night race at Daytona, although we saw earlier in this league that Balazs Kiss dominated Daytona. Whatever the case, we're still going to get an interesting race going on behind him, as we always do in this league. And of course, we can't quite write those races off yet, as motorsport is unpredictable, and there's no guarantee that Balazs Kiss will be even the fastest driver going into that round. Matthias Weber, meanwhile, has passed Dirk Elsner for 5th position in his red McLaren. Nicely done. And Weber, from the back of the grid, once again doing a great job getting past Elsner, our race 1 podium finisher.
And yeah, for
Meanwhile,
now we have seen...
has now officially retired from this race, and that is a big shame because he had a good chance of getting up into 10th position in this race. Only needed to get past Nuva, who is completely stationary. However, couldn't quite manage to.
Yeah, in 10th position he would have got 6 points, which is which I declare not much, but it's points. It is points, and yeah, points are substantial for winning or for getting good standing in the end of the races.
I believe you need to be classified though to score points, and I don't entirely know how close to being classified he was, or being not classified he was rather. I would expect that by the time he officially retired, he was already too far back to avoid, too far back to be classified.
Oh yeah, it could be that he would not have reached the 75% distance that has to be achieved to get points.
Yeah, very much so. So, just less than 8 minutes remaining in this race. Again, Kiss, Lundvall, Haas, Fran Moreno, Weber, Elsner, Kansouras, Müller, and Conan. The 9 cars remaining in this race. Kansouras and Müller Müller and Conan relatively close over that 8th position, as they have been for pretty much this entire race. However, Conan not able to get on terms with Müller just yet. They came together on the opening lap, and since then... Oh, and Dirk Elsner's off! Dirk Elsner has...
We have seen this scene once before, I think. It was Dirk Elsner up on the S's who did nearly the same spot. He did a similar crash last time, I think, wasn't it?
He did! Oh my word, that's... Oh golly. Well, that's a...
Everything's repeating.
It's always especially disappointing when you make the same mistake twice, and he's going to be feeling pretty gutted with himself after that, I can imagine. Dropping now to 7th position in this race. Hopefully he doesn't have too much. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have too much damage.
I'm so astonished that Simcoe is having like double the points in the team standing, and this is showing so much that how Balazs Kiss and his teammate Tamas C are crashing this season and are so great of drivers, and I'm pretty astonished by that.
Through turn 5 comes Linus Lundvall, very much best of the rest, you can say. He should at least take consolidation in knowing that Balazs Kiss is pretty much unbeatable in this league so far. And away into the distance goes Balazs Kiss with Lundvall in hot pursuit, but not hot enough. He could do with a bit of our European heatwave, although I don't know where I'm going with that. Whatever the case. Up the hill comes David Haas. And he's running in 3rd position so far. I don't think Haas has quite managed a podium yet this season. In fact, looking at the order, okay, he managed 1. It was actually a 3rd place last time out at the Indianapolis. But yeah, this is going to be his 2nd podium of the season if he can make it stick. And David Haas, of course, has a good chance today of jumping up into possibly into the top 3 in the championship. He's already jumped Simon Christman, who isn't here, for 5th.
But there's Linus Lundvall as well, fighting for the 3rd place in the driver's standing, because he has 75 points and David Haas has 65 points. And I think
I wouldn't be surprised if after today the championship standings go Kiss, Lundvall, Haas. That sounds about right to me.
This could be. So for his 2nd place you get 21. Yeah, it could be that Tamas say could drop to the 3rd or 4th place. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, this seems possible.
It's quite a shame actually that we've seen so many drivers who have done the full season so far not being able to make this round, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. But whatever the case, yeah, we've of course had Tamas C, who isn't able to make it. Neither was Bjorn Valmeyer or Marcello Toccio, and those are both drivers who have done the full season so far. Jack Brown, another one. Yeah, a couple of drivers not being able to make it, and that's a bit of a shame. Hopefully, they can make it back in for the final round of the season. And now I can imagine that, say, Michael at least will want to fight for that.
I hope so. I hope we'll get a pretty awesome night race in Daytona. And,
oh, certainly.
And there will be all the drivers, or like 20 drivers would be nice on Daytona at night. I'm pretty thrilled and looking forward to the race, because I think it will be a great ending of the American tour, and I think it will be pretty good. And yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that anyway. It's going to be exciting, and you know, Daytona is exciting at the best of the time. At the best of the times, with all of the slipstreaming, and whatever the case, it's at night. That's just going to add to the spectacle. And I suppose that's why we're going to Daytona twice, and why we're doing it at night. It's an ideal championship finale, So on to the final lap now goes Balazs Kiss, I think.
Yeah,
He's,
he
just
will do.
started it. And he has been utterly dominant all the way through the race today. Now, you say that he hasn't been attacked for today. Does that mean he's led every lap of the season?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I thought there was a race where someone got ahead of him at the start and then he fought back through. Okay. We'll have to double check that, but whatever the case, if that is the case, that is an astonishing achievement from Balazs Kiss. Anyway, here comes Matthias Weber poking to the left-hand side of Juan Franueno, going for 4th place on the final lap of the race, and sweeps through, and that is brilliant! And he's made it stick! That's a fantastic final lap overtake for 4th position. Brave as you like, and he knew that he needed to do it then and there. He wasn't going to get another opportunity. That is brilliant from Matthias Weber there. Absolutely fantastic. And I think we should probably cut to Balazs Kiss now so we don't miss him crossing the start-finish line. Indeed, here we are. Through the final couple of corners. That's turn 9. He's just got 2 corners to go. And in the bright green, Balazs Kiss, Simcoe McLaren, we are going to see yet another race victory. Still undefeated. Can anyone take the fight to him at Daytona? Final corner, and here comes the champion. Balazs Kiss across the line, wins again. Fantastic. Driver of the day, 100% as always. Linus Lundvall ran the final corner, crossing the line himself to claim his 2nd position. And after his disappointment in race 1, he's going to be happy with that. David Haas crosses the line to finish 3rd position, and I think that the top 3 in the race are the top 3 in the championship. Although, of course, we still need to confirm that. Weber is 4th, Rueno is 5th, Cantzoras is going to finish 6th again. Hopefully this time not crabbing across the line, heavily damaged. Through the final corner he comes, and indeed claims another 6th position. Dirk Elsner, who was on the podium in race 1, of course had an incident in race 2 and dropped to 7th. There he goes. 8th place is going to be Christoph Müller, who was involved in an incident with Oscar Conan on the opening lap of the race.
But where is Oscar Conan?
Yeah, Conan's dropped off his tail there, so Conan's probably had another little incident. Christoph Müller crosses the line, he's 8th. Oscar Conan crosses the line, he's 9th. And that's the lot. So thank you all for watching this day's racing here from Watkins Glen. If you're watching this, live, we will be getting the round from Indianapolis up for you shortly. Hopefully, that is, if we can.
We hope that, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can upload that soon. Unfortunately, there was a problem with the live streaming. However, it was recorded.
Yes.
And whatever the case, thank you all for watching. And this has been me for the day, Caitlin Penny. I will hand you over to for the end of the broadcast to my wonderful co-commentator Lucas Sherman.
Thank you for watching, all of you, and yeah, I think we'll see in 2 weeks in Daytona at night, and it has been great to commentate with you, Caitlin, this time again. And yeah, I hope to see you in 2 weeks, and that's all of us. Have a nice day, have a nice evening, and that's all for now. Have a nice day.